okay. Chapter 2, Beauty of Goloka. The narrative begins. In order to reveal all the pastimes from birth which gives bliss to the devotees whose hearts become eager to worship the Lord Krishna, made his worship the Lord. Krishna made his associates, the inhabitants of Vraja, appear on earth, killed Dantavakra, and then met all them met them all in Goloka, which is free of lamentation. This will be clearly explained in the two parts of Goloka Champu. Goloka Champu, the stories and scriptural proofs. When their meeting with Krishna would take place after the end of night, Nanda, second to none in Vraja, sounded two attractive drums at the gate of at the end of the night. All the inhabitants woke up thinking that bliss was issuing forth on the pretext of the sound of the two drums. Not only did the drums sound, but the lotuses began blooming with streams of perfume. In this way, all woke up thinking that they would see Krishna. All the bards and singers gathered in groups and ascended to the highest roof top at the lion gate, which gave glory to Nanda city. From the killing of Putana to the killing of Dantavakra, they began freely reciting verses without limit in new poetic forms such as Varuda, which seemed to dance, describing the killing of Indra's sinful enemies. They drowned the inhabitants all around in waves of bliss. Finally, full of attraction for Krishna, they had the people hear Krishna's pastimes in attractive songs with divisions of many ragas. Hearing the previous pastimes of Krishna, Nanda, Yasoda, and other cowherd people became satisfied. Joyfully, they gave the reciters heaps of the best cloth and ornaments according to their will. But though hearing the songs, they were not completely satisfied. And how could their act of giving gifts be completed? The ocean of Vraja.
Reading very fast, baby.
You're not understanding.
Slowly.
The ocean of but though hearing the songs, they were not completely satisfied. And how could their act of giving gifts be completed? The ocean of Vraja, which gave rise to all types of prema rasa, joined with the waves of attractive songs about the dark-bodied Krishna, who is the auspiciousness of Vraja, who had touched all their hearts and created a bewilderment the whole universe. I think that the fame displayed in their singing as Krishna approached is like the moon. But when the ordinary women of Vraja began singing the pastimes of Gopala, the cuckoos became silent as if hearing Krishna's flute. The sounds of bangles jingling as they churned the yogurt full of expertise, nourished their sons with musical notes and rhythms. According to the descriptions to be given with the proofs, which are the best conclusions, all these women were devoid of thinking of anyone else as their husband. They were pierced by arrows of prem and performed services to Krishna alone. The houses of these women remained full of service only to Krishna, and Krishna simultaneously used to come to all their houses. Enjoying with Krishna as their only husband in their homes, they never desired to give up that enjoyment. Their Sakis would separate them from that enjoyment by singing ragas appropriate to the early morning. The separation was not sudden but gradual. First, their arms became slack, and then their chest became slack.
Slack means?
Loose. Then their heads began to slightly bow.
Is it about Vaikuntha?
Oh, Gokula, Vrindavana.
But how come they're wives of Krishna?
Though they have husband, they consider Krishna as their only husband. Then their heads began to slightly bow and they rose from bed. Carefully taking support of each other as their hands slackened, they controlled their urge to touch each other. But no one could distract them from glancing at each other. So here, um, um, First to Nanda Maharaj, how he is waking up in the morning. Everyone, the entire Gokula is described
Mm.
there. When he wakes up, that he goes and blows the trumpet, and then all the bards and singers, they go to the rooftop, and then they sing about the Krishna's pastimes, previously happened pastimes. And Nanda and Yashoda, they gave clothes and jewels for them, the bards and singers, because they have glorified Krishna. Now the gopis of the Vraja are being described, who consider who are in Madhurya Rasa with Krishna, even though they have husband, they are in Madhurya Rasa with Krishna, right? They, no, no, sorry, they are not described as they're having husbands. Okay, these women were devoid of thinking of anyone else their husband. They don't think anyone else there's their husband. Anyways, now the separation, how Krishna and Radha separate, or the gopis separate from each other, is being described here. That looks like what is being described uh, is that they they were sleeping together, and then they are rising up, and then they are separating from each other. But no one could distract them from glancing at each other. When Radha, the best among all the women, heard the songs, she would immediately faint. Krishna would think, Radha has melted because of my Purva Raga, hot as fire. Even though she meets me, out of fear of gossip, she suffers intensely. If she were to become separated from me, she would burn like a jasmine flower in a forest fire. Ah, how can I comfort her? Interesting. Purvaraga is used in a different sense, it looks like. Yes. Thinking in this way, he became agitated. But the Sakis, who were like her life, calmed Krishna and gave him confidence. They kept Radha alive by giving her Krishna's chewed beetle. When she was fully revived, they inquired, How unfortunate, O friend, what has happened to you? Radha then began to weep. Oh, friends, I'm not foolish. My intention is not wrong. I am not overly greedy for pastimes of enjoyment and physical touch, but the inconceivable qualities of Krishna throw me into epileptic fits. What shall I do? I cannot at all be happy because of the pain afflicting my vital organs. You are understanding?
Radharani is thinking.
Yeah, they are going to separate when the Krishna and the gopis or the Radha wake up, right? By the Sakis. They'll separate at the time in the morning. Radha, with fine teeth, again became overcome with suffering. All the Sakis tried to comfort her with sweet words.
Why they mention the teeth?
They are mentioning all parts of the body. But on this day, she said that Yashoda, worthy of all worship and full of all auspiciousness, had given an order. How amazing! All the young girls have come, but Radha, my very life, has not come. Hearing this order, Radha, quickly performing her morning duties with great care and meeting with all her Sakis, went to Yashoda's house with Lalita, Vishaka, and others, giving bliss by her beauty to all directions and to all the cowherd women residing within and outside the house who were in a death-like state due to separation. So every day morning, Radha goes to cook for Krishna by the order of Yashoda, because I think it was Durvasa Muni who gave the benediction that you know that, right? Radha
Whoever reads Radharani's food lives long.
He lives longer. Their eyes fell upon Radha and they began to think. Radha, the name Radha is most astonishing, having within it a moon face, two blue lotus eyes, a sesame flower nose, and a red bandhuka flower, her sindura.
Sesame flower nose?
Yeah. Then Radha, her heart filled with devotion and thirst, gazed at Yashoda with reverence and lowering her head offered respects. Yashoda welcomed her and the assembly became joyful. When Radha touched her feet, Yashoda touched her head. When Radha fell on the ground, Yashoda raised her up and smelled her head in affection. When Radha remained reserved, Yashoda took her in her arms. Both gazed at each other with tears in their eyes. How can you describe the prema of these two? Seeing Radha's reserve in order to respect Rohini and others, Yashoda gave her permission. O daughter, offer respects to those who are worthy of respect. Then Radha, with her attractive qualities and great skill, offered respects to all the elders with devotion and sat at a distance from them with her head lowered. So Yashoda not she just not invites Radha because Krishna's life will be
Mm.
longer, but she also has love for Radha.
Mm.
Then Lalita and other Sakhis offered respect to the elder women and sat near Radha. Rohini spoke, O Yashoda, the constellation Rohini, bestowing all happiness, has come today. Give her the order. She is more skillful than all other women with good qualities. Let all other women, such those following Chandravali who have entered the kitchen for displaying their skills, as well as other fortunate, auspicious women devoted to Krishna and women devoted to Balarama, the shelter of all auspiciousness, follow after Radha. Lalita and others are her expansions. We do not need to supply any assistance. The leader of all cultured women, Radha, ordered in this way by Rohini, with lowered head, entered among her Sakhis and went to the kitchen immediately. I will now describe a cherished subject related to this. Young boys who are servants of his own family, young Shudras and cowherds, having great affection for Krishna of the same age, abilities, and strength, gathered together as an assembly at the attractive door of the house in the morning,
Shudras.
having attained opportunity for service to him. When servants arrived with their hands filled with attractive ingredients for the bath, the brother of Balarama, deliverer of all people of Kaishora age, came to the sitting place for performing morning duties. Friends such as Shubala, sons of cowherds, offering love and jokes.
Shubala or Subala?
Subala, offering love and jokes, gathered together. When they began joking about the delay, Krishna then sat down on the best seat. They were the most amazing performers of service in Prema. As a container is different from what is contained, the body is different from the soul. Krishna and his friends exist for the happiness of Prema, or the body and soul for each other. When the dawn was clearly evident, Krishna, sitting among the boys, washed his face, hands and feet, rubbed oil on his body, bathed, dried his body, put on upper and lower cloth, sipped water, put on tilaka, performed duties for dharma, put on jeweled ornaments and fine cloth, and took up his flute, horn, peacock feather, and stick. Those pastimes attract my heart.
Krishna does himself.
No, servants help him.
Mm.
Even Ananta cannot describe the qualities of the boys who served Krishna's body. There is no doubt that those boys who were embraced by the fragrance of Krishna's head, his feet, and his arms, and rubbing his body with oil and serving him obtained the unlimited happiness of Vatsalya, Sakya, and Madhura Rasa. Wearing yellow cloth, Krishna entered the yard along with his servants. His mother and her friends were like statues that had suddenly come to life. Some said, "Come here." Others said, "May you have victory." Some said, "What a beautiful farm." Some said, "I will prepare articles for worshipping him." Some said, "On seeing you, my eyes seem to have lost their eyelids." How can you describe the scene when suddenly, seeing lotus eyed Krishna, people became filled with amazement? The elder woman, full of attraction after the pain of separation from the previous night, unsteady and revealing their thoughtless joy. Hmm? Okay. Appeared from the yard of the great hall facing east. As a cow meets her calf, Yashoda met Krishna. As a cow has affection for her calf, all the people saw Rohini displaying affection for Krishna. Krishna offered respects to the lotus feet of Yashoda and Rohini, and with a blissful heart offered respects suitably to others worthy of respect. Following Balarama dressed in blue, Sridama, Sudama, and others, friends famous for playing with Krishna, arrived. Then the children of the priests, who were expert in all knowledge, women who were to be respected as mothers, other women who should be respected, sisters, nephews, and other relatives, all filled with joy, entered that place. He offered his respects to all of them, but without having to rise for each person. See, she who is famous as Yogamaya among the assembly of the Siddhas, mentioned in the Bhagavatam by the words Yogamayam Upashritaha, who is known as the Swarupa Shakti and controls the pastimes of the Lord, but who takes the form of an ascetic woman named Paurnamasi, then entered.
Where is the Purnama saint?
Entered the home of Krishna.
Mm.
All offered respects to her without pride and with reverence. Full of bliss, she made all present blissful by her blessings. Madhumangala, expert in all knowledge, an accomplished Brahmana who was the same age as Krishna, who had a great thirst for secret jokes, who was without fault, who was equal to Narada, but who acted as a clown, delighted everyone with his words of comical blessings, and came close to Krishna, who was like a treasure. Krishna and Balarama held hands, and their mothers placed their hands on their backs. While smiling and speaking sweetly, they slowly entered the yard. They sat separately on a huge throne, jeweled throne, carefully crafted of shining gold. They seemed to shower nectar over all of those sitting by their glances. When the birth constellation of Krishna, who gives fame to Yashoda, arrives every month, such arrangements were made. At that time, the children of the Brahmanas, who were intelligent and chanting auspicious mantras, performed an excellent abhisheka with water. The mantras, songs, music, shouts of victory, Krishna's beauty, the astonishing affection of his friends mixed together as one and produced great pleasure. Just as all the rasas starting with Shringara combine, or the 6 days combine to produce great taste. Before the Abhisheka, Krishna made arrangements for touching all the auspicious items and performed Aratrika, showing items like ghee and mirrors, and worshipped the Brahmanas and the elders. This produces auspiciousness for the families which spread profuse auspiciousness to all people. The Brahmanas offered auspicious durva to his hair. Though their tears of joy interrupted their blessings, they produced auspiciousness for fulfilling all desires. Though stunned and weeping, Yashoda applied Tilaka on Krishna, but without the help of Rohini, she would not be able to do this. The Tilaka drawn by mother, father, uncle, and aunt was like a gift. But this statement cannot measure the extent of their gift. An attractive young boy previously engaged for this purpose came from a second area in the east and spoke, "O Prince of Vraja, all have gathered on this festive day in the assembly of the king of Vraja. But all are awaiting your arrival. By shaking their heads, they do not accept all the betel net and cloth offered by you, which are spread at the feet of Nanda Maharaja." Hearing and understanding the message, looking at his mother, he became filled with grief. He asked her permission and bid farewell to Paurnamasi, sending her to her cottage. With Balarama in front and surrounded by Sridama and others, he departed, his heart pulled by the Prema dwelling in the west where his father was stationed. The assembled people then saw him surrounded by great effulgence. like a Chataka bird seeing a cloud, like a Chakora bird seeing the moon, like a lotus, a tiny water, like a body touched by prana, the crowd filled with bliss, roaring with prizes, simultaneously stood up. But none and others could not break the rules, and instead of rising, simply remained stunned in their seats. This was suitable since it is said that when longing arises in Nanda's Vraja, filled with Vatsalya Prema, the longing acts according to the individual's Prema. Someone spoke to another person. Oh, friend, one person surpasses with whiteness, and another person surpasses a rain cloud. Person's clothes surpasses a sapphire, and another person's clothes surpasses the effulgence of gold. One person's face is like a lotus, white lotus, and person's face is like a blue lotus. Both their eyes surpass the movements of a Kanjana bird. It's a footnote. The wagtails form the passerine bird genus Motachilla. They are small birds with long tails, which they wag frequently. Eyes are often compared to the wagtail because of their flickering movement. Hmm.
What?
The Kanjana bird, they have long back tail.
Why they're talking about Kanjana bird?
The eyes are compared to the Kanjana bird
Uh,
because they flickers a lot, the wings.
uh,
The prowess of both surpasses that of an elephant. It is not astonishing that these two boys stun all people. The most glorious elders were seated on the right side, and among them the best were seated in front in order of age. Holding Pierre's priceless argia, the priest stood in front of the people, revealing the meaning of their name, Purohita, which means placed in front. This that was suitable, and by a double meaning, it means those who first give benefit. Filled with the nectar of the bliss of Prema in the form of Krishna, the moon of his dynasty, Upananda, Abhinanda, Nanda, Sananda, and Nandana were abodes of sweet affection. These are the brothers of Nanda Maharaj. Other cowherds with various names, bound tightly by ropes of affection, remind their experiencing the meeting with him. The attractive elders remind there, showing great love for Balarama. Like the night lotus becoming blissful on seeing the moon, all the cowherds, as previously described, met Balarama, who bestows all bliss to all the hearts and all attractive Krishna according to their mood. Love blossomed in their hearts. The hearts of the people gathering to see Krishna and Balarama became bewildered because of the great bliss. When they recovered, they became absorbed in gazing at the exquisite beauty of Krishna's face. Nanda said, "O son, today is the day of your birth constellation, endowed with all wealth. Stay in the house until noon. I will engage in neighbors in inspecting and herding the cows. Sit here and see all your relatives." Hanging his head, Krishna accepted the order of his father like a garland on his head and gazed at Balarama. With his relatives, he ascended to the square sitting room, had been prepared, and sat down with a smile. He appeared like the moon sitting on the eastern mountain. He then distributed cows and other gifts to the Brahmanas and others suitably. Then he happily chewed pieces of beetle and conversed jokingly with relatives in a friendly manner.
Prabhu, who distributed cows?
Krishna.
But while sitting there, how he distributed cows?
Oh, he just then moved on. Not that he is continuously sitting, it's not described like that.
Mm.
One of the chief boys came from the inner champs, and after a muhurta, there is a footnote here, 48 minutes equal to muhurta.
It looks like same story.
Hmm?
It's the same story. They're still sitting there.
Yeah,
Then how Krishna
not same
distributed?
story. Like Madhavi came and sat here. Madhavi woke up from the bed. Then she was brushing her teeth. Doesn't mean you are sitting in the bed and then brushing your teeth. We went, that's not described.
But the story continues from the same
The story
place.
same continues. Madhavi woke up from the bed. Then she brushed her teeth and she took bath. Doesn't mean that she's doing everything in the bed. The same
Mm,
story continuing.
mm,
Understood
yeah.
or confusing?
Let's read it.
What is confusing?
No, because the story is same. Like
Yes.
Krishna is sitting like a moon in the assembly, and now kids will start talking. So it is not different story. But how come Krishna sat and then distributed cows?
He distributed, probably he came back.
Mm,
Or probably he sat there and donated cows.
these words.
No,
Uh,
people will be coming. He will be sitting on a seat and then giving them donations.
so in the building there will be cows.
No, probably they will say that I'm giving you 10 cows and give them some kind of fruits or something. Then they'll go down and take the cows. Probably,
Mm.
perhaps it is like that. I don't know. I was not there. One of the chief boys came from the inner chambers after a muhurta and sat near Krishna while whispering in Krishna's and Balarama's ears. The elder and younger brothers sat straightly but became restless with the worship performed by their relatives. With the permission of the two, the boy went and whispered to Nanda, who was trying to welcome all present. Please tell them to eat. Today, the auspicious birth constellation of my son, attained by the grace of Narayana, has arrived. With humility and folded hands, he invited them all to eat. The boy whispered to Nanda, or Nanda Maharaj whispered to boy.
Because he was telling my sons, let them eat. Huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
With the humility and folded hands, he invited them all to eat. All the people, satisfied and looking at one another, simultaneously rose from their seats and went to the inner chambers. All people went along with a very young boy, leading the way from the yard to the inner chambers.
Oh, probably Nanda Maharaj told to that boy because that boy is a
He says
person.
whispered to Nanda. It's not saying Nanda whispered to
Oh,
him. All people went along with a very young boy, leading the way from the yard to the inner chambers, where women were coming and going. Absorbed for a moment with the desire to see the front of the house, the friends then arrived at the dining hall. Krishna and Balarama, desiring to see the cows, climbed to the top of a tall building in the courtyard and threw their glances like showers of nectar on the splendid pasturing grounds on the earth. They sent messages to distant places using servants. Oh, cowherds, please protect the cows from going to the left or right of the path. They descended from that place and looked at the praiseworthy dining hall along with the assembled visitors. There were fine sandalwood and aguru incense, drinking vessels, and plates placed on white tables embedded with jewels. The residents of the house were filled with prema. He requested, please wash and dry your feet here. There were chamaras fanning and speak sweet words evoking laughter. Arising from joy, the utensils were arranged attractively. Krishna's glance was like a pleasing nectar. How could all these arrangements for eating not please the relatives? In one place was a line for brahmanas, since it was improper for them to eat with others. In another place was a line for vaishyas.
why they say improper?
Brahmanas are not supposed to eat with the Shudras because their contamination would happen. But anyways, this is a spiritual world.
Mm,
But they just follow the varnashrama dharma.
mm,
Just they don't need to follow anything.
mm.
But then there is no rasa. So there is some rules and regulations to just evoke all sorts of rasa.
It's like racism, brother.
Huh?
It's like racism.
Well, racism is different.
Mm,
You don't look at the quality of the person, but you just distinguish because of the external bodily appearance. He's
mm,
black, he's white, and things like that.
Mm.
but whereas the varnas are based on the qualities. And if you mix qualities with two different persons of different nature, one will try to exploit the other, and the other will not be having compatibility,
Mm.
and they will mix up. They will lose their qualities. They'll influence each other, and
Mm.
they won't be able to live happily. So
Mm.
some segregation is good. Even nowadays, it's also there. The rich don't meet the poor at all. The middle class, they don't live with poor people. Why so many people are not living in worst areas or crime areas,
Mm.
those who are. So there is some sort of segregation is already there. Cannot avoid that. Hmm. In another place was a line for Vaishya suitable for eating together with full affection. There were other lines for elders, adults, and new youths. Though there were different rows, they appeared to be only one group because of the joking exchanges. Not only did Nanda see only one group, but opening his eyes to see the eating, Krishna, an ocean of nectar, spread a playful ocean of nectar in the form of attractive conversations with all the people, which occurred repeatedly and simultaneously. At that place, Krishna alone was the vessel bestowing all 6 days. The servers began distributing joking words to Krishna and all others. The servers of foods with 6 days became servers of the seventh taste, Hasyarasa. Even the names of the vegetables served became the subject of joking. Though the names of the vegetables were known to all the people from various places and directions, those vegetables became something else and could not be named. They gave the vegetables other names. Even the well bred gentlemen could not name the vegetable properly, though instructed by their friends. This became the cause of laughter. They are not able to identify what sabji is this. Madhumangala sent a joking message to Nanda through a messenger. O best of kings, we Brahmanas make this request. Persons first have a seminal birth. It is considered very auspicious for us. At the time of receiving the Gayatri mantra, there is a second birth. Since the Vaishyas also take a second birth, your dynasty has attained great power. Your food, like that of the Kshatriya, can be eaten by Brahmanas. If you place us in a separate line far off, we cannot know what is being served in your line and what has been served. Therefore, Nanda Maharaja, by his instruction, Therefore, let Nanda Maharaja, by his inspection, have all items served to us in the beginning. The items cooked expertly by Radha and other women are the best. In the second portion of the Gopala Tapani Upanishad, it is said that Durvasa gave up his bad tendency for anger completely and became pleased and ate her cooking with relish. Thus, her cooking is always full of sweetness. Neighbors seize and eat this food on the path without it being given to them. Now, there is lots of food, of that food, but they have already eaten it all using their eyes. Since this is an offense, one must take immediately a third birth in order to perform a sacrifice to Vishnu, according to Shruti and Shmriti scriptures, in order to destroy the offense and feed us more food. Hearing his joking words, Yashoda emerged from the house and offered items cooked by the sun, SUN, equal to food cooked by fire and which was not previously eaten by anyone. By this action, everyone began laughing. Everyone was filled in their stomachs, but could not be fully satisfied with the joking filled with abundant rasa. And no one was fully satisfied on seeing the source of all bliss, Krishna, wearing yellow cloth, producing newer and newer experiences of pleasure. However, suddenly mouthwash with the most pleasant fragrance was served. Hoping to eat more food, they greatly desired that the meal would not end with the mouthwash.
What?
Mouthwash, you give it at the end.
Ah.
They're thinking, they still want to eat more. They're thinking, hopefully, the food won't end now here. Then all friends were honored with attractive beetle, unguents, cloth, garlands, and ornaments, and Brahmanas were honored with donations. Seeing the profuse donations, Madhumangala spoke, flooding the place with the nectar of his joking. O persons worshipped in Raja, Do not look at us with envy for the profuse donations we receive. This entire donation is not worth the price of even one preparation that you have eaten. When the uproar of laughter had died down, Krishna, the maintainer of all happiness, approached his father and gently requested with humility, O father, first go into the assembly with all the people. Balarama, Dhamma, and Sudama, and all of us will soon meet you. Going to his mother's room, he said, O mother, we are going to see the cows. Please give us permission. When she spoke to Krishna, milk flowed from her breast. She said, Live long. You are.
She said,
Yeah.
you said she should.
She said, Live long. You are my life. So do not stay long. Then all the elder women weeping together said, O child, the cows are your mother in name only. Yashoda is your actual mother. Why do you not show special favor to her? Lowering his head and crying while smiling, he said, O mothers, what shall we do? They are animals and have no intelligence. If they do not see us, they will not eat the grass. His mother said, The child speaks the truth. But because of this, following Dharma has caused us great pain. Our sons, whose wealth is cows, have made the forest their constant home. Krishna spoke with a smile.